have we created unintentionally these borrowed lives because of the not only financial debt but relationship deficits in our lives and our emotional unhealth? Like, are we living, to extend the metaphor, like borrowed lives, so much so that those borrowed lives then create this world that is unable to sustain how we were designed?
I love you said that. Can I tell you, it was a crazy moment for me. I remember taking my wife, we went on a date to see La La Land. And I loved the movie. It was great. The ending was sad, but it was perfect. Oh, I loved it. The actors were great. Ryan Gosling and we look almost identical. Mostly on our upper bodies, we're almost exactly the same.
Let's go.
Not at all. Not even close. All the actors, everything was great. But I remember walking out of the movie, and for those of you who haven't seen it, there's a lot of scenes in jazz clubs where there's some really extravagant dancing and piano playing, people laughing, having fun. And I remember holding my wife's hand as we walked out of the theater through the parking lot. And I remember thinking, I just paid $35 for two actors in Hollywood to spend an evening in jazz clubs and dance and enjoy themselves for my entertainment. And I thought, I could have just spent $35 and taken my wife dancing. And so when you say that, yeah, I outsourced that evening. And what I also outsourced was movement. I didn't have to sweat. I outsourced all of the vulnerability because I'm a terrible dancer. I outsourced I don't know where to park at the downtown jazz club. Like, I outsourced all of that discomfort to, how about I just pay these two people who are more beautiful than I could ever dream of being? What if I just give them money and they can have the date for me? And so, or when it comes to food, I'm not going to grow my own food. Why would I do that? You grow it and I'll just come buy it out of your box. I'm not going to hunt my own food. You do that. You do all the dirty work and I'll just eat it in a nice round shape, right? We outsourced everything. And I think our frontal lobes know that's an excellent move. Very cool. This works out for us. I think it's our amygdalas and the memory parts of our brain that are screaming at us, hey, we're not safe, we're not safe, we're not safe, we're not safe. And that's yeah, I think we've completely outsourced everything.
Yeah, let's stay here. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, if we're outsourcing everything, outsourcing relationships, vulnerability, risk, outsourcing discomfort, as you said, I think about Michael Easter's book, The Comfort Crisis.
Yeah. Masterpiece.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I know he endorsed your new book, which is so cool.
Yeah.
What happens when we outsource, and what other things are we outsourcing that we don't know we are outsourcing, thus unintentionally catalyzing the internal crisis that is just lighting flames upon our nervous systems?
What happens, COVID's a great idea. I mean, it's not a great idea, it's a great example. The supply chain. We just quit making stuff. Oh, they're going to make it. Cool. And then we ran out of cars, man. Like, we ran out of wood, because we outsourced it all. And so there is something about partnering and working with your community. Everybody can't be an island to themselves. But I think the economists who started speaking up, saying, we've been saying this for years, man, if you get rid of all manufacturing, you get rid of all production, you get rid of all these things, there's going to come a day when they go, we're not doing that. And so I think it creates a sideways mess. And when your body knows, hey, the power just went out and I don't know how to turn that back on. Hey, the grocery store was out of milk today. I don't know what to do. Or when you need groceries, like happened to me when I was a kid, and the bank said, there is no more dollars in that account. And my dad, I remember that look on his face. Man, your body knows. Your body knows. I think the big outsource that we don't talk about much, and we don't talk about this in faith communities, and we don't talk about this, and I'm being generic faith communities, any of them, and we don't talk about this enough in the scientific community, where I spent a lot of time, is I think we have outsourced God. The idea that we have to be in submission to something bigger than ourselves, and when you do that, when you clip that line, when you don't have to walk outside of your tent or your hut and look up to the sky and say, God, whoever, God's God, whatever, please rain or my family dies. When you don't have to do that anymore, you just turn on a faucet, it's real easy to think you're God. That I pay my water bill and that's my water. Dude, somebody built that pipe and pumped it way far away. And so I think over time, really quick, we have cut the strings to any sort of cultural narrative around, hey, all of us are in this same story. And everyone said, no, I get my own story. I get my own truth. I get my own narrative. And when you do that, you end up worshiping yourself. And then you start worshiping how you feel. And then when you don't feel good, you start asking other people to bend their lives to get, and so you see, and now boom, this is where our culture is. And so I don't know a path forward for a non-anxious life without knowing I have to submit to something bigger than myself.
So how is outsourcing life, outsourcing God, how is it neutering the perseverance, the muscles of perseverance and endurance and grit, the ability to just move through pain, not avoid it? And I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, how is this willingness to outsource all these things atrophying our ability to cope with life?
I love that you phrase the question that way, because I think that we have done a poor job with things like resilience and courage and bravery. I don't think those are things that you have or don't have. I think those are jump shots and free throws. I think those are skills that you practice. You practice resilience. When people say, how do I get more confident? Well, do some things that you can be successful in. And then your body goes, oh, we know that. And so I think when you look at those things as skills, and then you look at our classrooms that are drill and kill, right? They're algebra questions and you do worksheets. And then my son was watching Khan Academy videos in his school. And I remember I said to him yesterday, dude, I don't want to pay taxes to have you go to school and pay somebody to tell you to turn on a TV and do something you could do right here in my living room for free. And then I'm paying a babysitter. I'm not paying a teacher, right? But we've created a world where we don't teach those skills anymore. And if you don't have to do those things on a regular basis, like you use perfect word, that those muscles atrophy. I don't have to be resilient. You have to stop saying things that hurt my feelings. I don't have to lift heavy things. I just push a button on my cell phone and food just shows up at my front door. And so I don't have to I don't have to have a messy conversation in my church. I'm going to the other one because there's a million of them on every corner. And so I don't have to go through any of these challenges. The problem is your mom's still going to get sick. The problem is your husband's still going to leave you. And the storms will come. And if you don't have the muscles, if you've let everything atrophy, there's nothing to hold you when the storm comes. Friendship is a skill that we just let atrophy. Sitting there and not being annoying when somebody's hurting is hard. You have to learn how to do that. Right? All those things are skills.
So if we're if we're outsourcing all these life skills, when anxiety hits, this is a loose analogy here, back to the smoke alarm in the house. How are we getting on a ladder and instead of dealing with the source, the fire, a lot of us pull the battery out of the alarm because we're like, that's annoying.
That's right. So what
does that look like and how does that play out?
I mean, I think it's just like you said.
Avoidance, right?
If you were to take three or four kids and they were 3 or 4 years old, and you put them in a house, and you spun up the smoke detector, just that, those kids would cry and scream, and maybe one of them would throw a ball at the thing to try to get it to shut off, right? If you put 3 or 4 adults in there, hopefully they would look around and go, whoa, what's on fire? You smell that? Like they would begin to look for where the fire is. And that's the difference between someone who's got the skills and someone who doesn't, right? Or the maturity and someone who doesn't. So yeah, if you are living a completely atrophied life, you've outsourced everything, you're just trying to not be uncomfortable is your goal. And you are on your couch watching Netflix, watching TV, watching a show that is a channel that curates the world to what you want. And the news is clicking up on your phone to give you what you want and to tell you the stories that you want to hear about how the world is spinning. And then somebody calls and says, hey, mom's sick. Somebody calls and says, hey, your car just got stolen. Somebody calls and says, hey, your business just closed. And those alarms go off. They don't point you in the right, like, you don't have the skill set to go, oh, I need to check out what are those alarms trying to tell me. You just, like a toddler, start screaming. It's not safe. And so, yeah, the easiest thing to do is to run up and grab a ladder and take the batteries out, or to take a baseball bat and smash that thing. Because the goal then is I want to be comfortable again. And
That's
the
it.
most comfortable thing I can do is to not have that alarm going. Not, I want to be alive tomorrow. That's not the goal here. I want to be safe.